Welcome to eLearning Today TV. Today is Friday, June 18, 2010, and we are coming to you from our new location in the Learning Today office. I'm Lauren Grossberg.
And I'm Andy Keenum.
And if you're not following us on Twitter, please do so. I'm at LG Educator.
And I am at A. Keenum.
And I messed it up, but we're here to bring you the latest from our blog in educational technology and e-learning. And be sure also to check out our website. There's lots of free teacher and educator resources there. Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, this week we have another School of the Week, and this is a nice story from East Harlem in New York. And there's this teacher that he entered a, I guess like, not a competition, but he entered this, a grant. That's the word I'm looking for. And it's from the Walton Family Foundation, which is the founders of Walmart. And they awarded him $250,000. They actually didn't know they give out grants, but they do for K through 12 education and trying to improve schools. Yep. So he won this grant, and he's going to start a charter high school, which was the big thing because a lot of charter schools are like elementary school or middle school. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a challenge when they're older students. So that was the whole basis for his getting the grant. And we've already started planning for the school year. It's opening in September, and there's going to be 135 incoming 9th graders, and he actually went out and recruited special ed students. So there's going to be 30% special ed students, which is, I think, double, they said, than any other school in New York has. And a lot of them are, low income, and they get free lunch and reduced lunches. So it's going to be a challenge, but this teacher has worked with other special needs students, so he's really looking forward to working with them. They're training teachers this summer, and they should be starting in September. So
I'm anxious to see their results after the year, to see how they do.
Yeah.
So they're starting with 9th grade, and then I guess each year they're going to add a grade?
I think so. That's how it works.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, this week's hashtag talk. We were talking during Ed Chat on Tuesday about how to integrate critical thinking with technology and also how to assess critical thinking. And someone said this quote from Einstein that really made me remember kind of why we don't focus on critical thinking in the classroom. Here's a quote. Not everything that counts can be counted. Not everything that can be counted counts. And I think one of the reasons why we've really stopped focusing on critical thinking is because it's really difficult to assess, especially to standardize. But even so, it's one of the most important 21st century skills, and we do need to be talking about it. On the video on the blog, there's this quote: give someone a fish and they'll eat that day. Teach someone how to catch a fish and they'll never go hungry. And that's why, that idea is why it's so important that we teach our kids how to critically think. In order for them to function effectively, successfully in the world today, they're going to need to know how to do so. My biggest takeaway from EdChat was that students should own their own learning, and we need to be teaching with a student-centered approach. The idea is that we need to stop spoon-feeding our kids with multiple choice answers, and we need to teach them how to analyze content, not only online but in context in the real world. And when we talk about project-based learning, we talked about that last week, and we're going to talk about that a little bit this week. We need to make sure that we provide the toolkit for the students, but we allow them to sort of navigate. We empower them to really plan their own route for doing so. So I know your video that you're going to talk about touches on it a little bit more.
Kind of going into that. Watch and learn. This video, it's called Being Info-whelmed, which is kind of funny, with this idea that we are being bombarded with all this email and messages and text messages, everything. And this video gave out some crazy stats also that our digital output, well, first of all, it's increasing by 10,000% in the past 6 years. It's increased. And the amount of information there, if it was put into books, it would reach from the Earth to Pluto, or where Pluto is, I guess it's still a planet, whatever.
It's
not a planet, whatever. Where Pluto is or was, it would reach there 13 times, there and back.
Yeah.
And it would also deforest the planet 12 times with all that information.
That's insane.
So basically it's just saying that we're living in this matrix of all this information, and that teachers and educators really need to take this into account because the students are, they do have this information pretty much at their fingertips. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We have all the filters at school, but when they go home, they don't have these filters.
Right.
And when we talk about critical thinking and we talk about technology, we need to be teaching our kids how to ask good questions and get good answers. And when they get answers, we need to be teaching them how to assess and analyze that and determine, is this fact, is this opinion, is this a valid source, and how to really access that information. And so I think that's the key how we integrate that critical thinking into technology. Teach this. This week, I was focusing more, again, on project-based learning, and I focused on some Web 2.0 tools that will make that easier for building that toolkit for your students. Once again, make sure that you know they're allowed to really determine their own path and what tools that they want to use, just like you do in your everyday life. But these are some tools that will make it easier on them and you. The first set of tools are focused on collaboration. I talk about in the blog. I talk about VoiceThread, Twidla, Diego, mind mapping tools, FlatDraw, Google Docs, Google Wave, Wikispaces. My favorite, which we just tested out this week, was called Twidla.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun. So what I did was I opened up Twidla, I started a new canvas, I guess I'll call it a canvas, and I sent Lauren the link. With that link, she could access my canvas, and we could do anything, sort of like Google Docs, except it's all in real time. So if she draws on the screen, throws a picture, a link, words, text, whatever happens, I see it instantly, and I can respond to it instantly. So it's great for collaborating on projects.
Can you save those? Like,
yeah, you save the links.
okay.
They are unique links, unique URLs, and you can embed them also.
Okay, cool.
The next stage of project-based learning I focused on was the creation stage. I talk about a lot of Web 2.0 tools for digital storytelling, and I know you've done a lot of lists about that, for creating comics, interactive posters, making movies. Some of my favorites there were Storybird, of course.
There was an earthquake for a second.
Hurricane, shoot. Some of my favorites there are Storybird, Glogster, Animoto. Check them out. We describe them and we link to them. So they're all free, especially for educators. Animoto has a free educator account that allows you full access. And then the last stage of project-based learning that I focus on is collection, or sharing the projects. And I talk about KidBlog, Project Foundry. I think it's called Dropio. My favorite there is...
I would call it that.
My favorite's Dropio. It's sort of like a digital Dropbox. You give your students your unique... I guess it's a unique URL, and they can submit all their work there instead of filling up your email with all these projects. They can just drop it digitally there. So check those out. There's many more there that I didn't discuss today. So it'll make your project-based learning projects even easier.
If that's even possible.
What's possible?
Making it easier.
Making it even easier. Okay.
You don't like my jokes? Okay.
They're good. Whatever, you know.
Freebies. I talked about this week's social media for students, and actually you just mentioned one of them, KidBlog. But the first one I want to talk about is Club Penguin, and this is an ad-free, it's pretty much like a virtual world for kids. There's games, there's art, there's coloring pages, you can do lots of stuff, and you can interact with other penguins, and that's what you kind of are when you sign up. You're like a penguin, like it's your... So it's a way for, I guess, kids to, you know, get used to this whole world of social media, which they're probably going to be using soon anyways, so, and it's a safe environment there. Then KidBlog we have, a lot of teachers use this for classroom blogs, and it's great because you can share work with other students. You could also restrict certain people, visitors, if you want to make it just public or private for your class. So it's a great way for kids to get started writing and using the internet and blogging and stuff like that.
It lets you moderate all comments and
yes,
posts also.
That too.
Yeah.
And then the last one was the Twitter View, which was the idea that came from that school that used Twitter to actually conduct interviews, and they posted questions on Twitter, and we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and the people would answer it, and it's just a different way to learn information, get it from different sources, and use the internet.
Yeah, if you've seen any more examples of people using Twitter views, please give us the link, because I want to check this out more, and I'm really interested in this Twitter view.
And I'm sure you can do a million different things with that. So.
Yeah. So what do you know?
I know that weird doesn't follow the I before E rule. Isn't that weird?
That's weird. Neither does neither. Or either.
That's true. But they're not weird. What do you know?
If Facebook were a country, it would be the third largest country in the world, behind the United States and Indonesia. And, no, in front of the United States and Indonesia, not behind.
Okay.
It's only behind China and India.
We got catching up to do.
Yes.
Facebook.
Yes.
All right.
I'm guessing that people have multiple accounts, though, you know, so that kind of like invalidates the results.
Cheaters.
But still, they have like 400 million unique users or something like that.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Akeenum.
I'm an LG educator.
And don't forget to give us...
Cut me off.
Sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I'm an LG educator.
Oh, she's an LG educator. Don't forget to give us 5 stars in iTunes if you like our show.
That's it.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay, see you later.